Delta Chi Nation, welcome back. I am pleased to be joined here by Patrick Alderdice, the new AA for the Delta Chi fraternity. We're here at the headquarters office in Indianapolis. We also have on the phone with us here, we've got Jeff Broderick, president of the Barrister Capital Corporation, and Rod Arnold, the chairman and president of the Delta Chi Educational Foundation. Today is Founders Day, and we are in the middle of our 1,890 minutes of giving. In fact, we're nearing the end, and so we would encourage you all to make your gift, make it today. All the gifts are matched dollar for dollar today only. We're at 117,000, and we still have about $60,000 in matching gifts. So we're ready to make double the impact. Your gift doubles the impact. We're going to spend the next little while here, and we're going to hear from these guys. We're not going to hear from me. I'm going to open it up with a question, and then they're going to get a chance to just talk. All of this is unscripted, but we've got the leaders of Delta Chi, the big three, if you will, the fraternity, the foundation, and Barrister, which are our housing arm. So, guys, thank you for joining, and thank you for being here in Indianapolis.
Thanks, Peter. It worked out real well.
This is a little far away from your home in Lawrence,
That's
Kansas,
right.
But thank you. This is great. So, guys, we want to hear from you. Tell us just a little bit, each one of you, about your role in the organization, what you're excited about, and how you work together with the other two arms of the organization. And we're just going to go alphabetical here. So, Patrick, we're going to start with you, and then Rod, and then Jeff.
Well, I'm the AA, the 54th AA of Delta Chi. Extremely proud, and so I oversee actually the fraternity not the fraternity operations, but the fraternity. What I'm most excited about right now is we're really impressed with what's going on at the campus level right now as far as fall recruitment is concerned. We're seeing really impressive numbers, double-digit numbers, and we'll be reporting that out hopefully this coming Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on the town hall. We'll give you the specific number, but we've seen some great recruitment numbers from the guys. It's obvious that today's college students, specifically men, need Delta Chi more so than ever before, and they're coming, and the guys are doing their job as far as recruitment. And now we need to do our job as far as the alumni are concerned to go ahead and help them offset some of that cost through scholarships and leadership educational programs. But really proud of seeing double-digit growth as far as the fraternity is concerned.
Excellent. That sounds great. Tell us just a little bit about how you're working together with Foundation and Barrister, and then we'll give those guys opportunity as well.
Well, we're on a call monthly right now as far as with the fraternity is concerned. With the foundation on different things. We just had a call actually yesterday afternoon to make sure that we understand that the foundation understands what the issues and challenges the fraternity has, and specifically even talking about things like impact. And the impact as far as both the operations as well as the programs concerned, so they can go out there and take that information and talk to the alumni as far as giving is concerned. So I think we have as good of a close working relationship legally than we can as far as the different entities are concerned. But we're real excited as far as Delta Chi is not just with the foundation, but also with Barrister, our National House Corporation, and the impressive results we see with them as well.
Thank you. So, Rod, question to you then is the same. Tell us a little bit about what your role is, how things are going with the foundation. You were on earlier as well, but just here in this environment, and then how you work together with Patrick and with Jeff.
Well, it's exciting times for the entire enterprise. I'm the chairman and president of the Delta Chi Educational Foundation. The foundation serves as a tool for the donors. It is a way for donors, alumni to give back to the brotherhood and support the areas that are near and dear to their heart, and get it done in a tax deductible nature. So we are strictly here as a vessel and as a tool for the donors and their endeavors for the brotherhood.
Thank you. And just talk just a little bit about working together with Patrick and with Jeff.
Well, it's exciting times. Besides the fact that we've all known each other for a long time, there's a high level of energy. I like to use the phrase project velocity, and I think we're entering a very exciting phase of the fraternity for growth, and also taking care of some long-standing goals, I think, between here and the next convention in Fort Lauderdale in 2024. I think we've got a lot of really positive work to do together, and we all get along. We are communicating very well, and it's exciting times.
Thank you. So Jeff, same thing, same question. Tell us a little bit about Barrister, and we haven't heard from Barrister yet today. And so please, for those that don't know what Barrister is, tell us a little bit about what you do and what some of the exciting stuff has been and what you're looking forward to.
Sure. So I'm Jeff Broderick. I'm the president of Barrister Capital Corp, which was only a little over 6 years old right now. It was established at the 2016 Louisville Convention. And in that 6 years, we functioned as a national housing corporation, which means all acquiring, master leasing, operating, managing properties specifically for the benefit of our undergraduate members, as we feel that being housed in competitive properties that we're proud of is essential to growing our chapters and growing our undergraduate membership and how they even have respect for themselves and carry themselves. Just real quickly, we are now we manage 11 properties across the country, 6 of which we currently own. Marquette is 2 properties we manage on behalf of their local housing corps. The others, we all have master leases and manage those specifically for the benefit of our undergraduates. The last couple years, I think for everybody's been a little trying, and with the pandemic and so forth. But I'll just point out that having a national housing corporation with a diversified portfolio has allowed us to continue operations and even maintain everything as we needed to. We're now anxiously looking at growing. I have about 4 projects I'm actively working on right now. I cannot go into details because loose lips can sink ships. But in particular, we are again looking at what our next steps will be for the next academic year, because we're usually working for about a year out. We, in particular, were able to take advantage of some of what the pandemic brought to local housing corps, and we're able to acquire a property at Iowa State. And that's an outstanding property, but not just get that property acquired, but also because we had a very generous Iowa State alumnus that was willing to step in and actually make it happen. So I want to be very clear, without that alumnus, it wouldn't have happened. But he said, I want his group to be housed, and he made it happen. So again, we've got that group off and going again. From a property retention standpoint, this is one of the reasons we formed Barrister, is we've lost too many properties across the country when a chapter closes. And indeed, we have a success story just on the verge of striking again, and that is at Illinois State, where we have been able to hang on to an over $1.2 million property for the last 5 years, awaiting the return of a chapter. And headquarters prioritized it as soon as they could expand on the campus. They stepped in, and we already have a founding father group of around 35 members last I checked. We've already and have explained what they need to do to be able to move back into the property. So again, that should be an absolute key success story, retaining a valuable property on a campus where there's a tremendous growth. They have had the largest undergraduate enrollment in 35 years on that campus. So we're prime and ready to go. And I think Delta Chi will be absolutely in position to be very, very successful there. So.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Along housing, this is something that as we go out and talk with donors, we hear a lot about my chapter, right? Guys want to give to my chapter that also look at the whole organization. And they would say, how can we strengthen the whole organization? Because we're looking at expansions. And so this is a question that all 3 of you guys I want to weigh in on. If an alumnus wants to give to housing, can they give through the Educational Foundation? We know that they can do that for their chapter, but let's say they want to give and support housing for, say, a future Barrister property where we may have a chapter that doesn't exist right now but wants to return, such as use your chapter. Or your chapter, Rod, at Texas A&M. If we had how would we leverage the 3 arms of the organization to have the best expansion experience for a new chapter. At a place like I don't know, like a Georgia or a Tennessee, where we would have to have housing.
Jeff, you want to start?
I can certainly start on that one. So first of all, we have a couple scenarios that go on that kind of relate to this. One of them is where we've had chapters, they had a house, they closed, and they sold the house, and they're sitting on money. Well, that money right now is just sitting there with some alums hopefully overseeing it, but it's basically earning bank rates. Barrister has already set up a what I'll call a policy situation or a mechanism to be able to have those funds transferred to Barrister and yet isolated and captured unique to that property, okay, or to that chapter should we expand. It's going to earn essentially the same interest rates that they're getting today. But if we can leverage those funds to grow a property, then it will start to earn at the commercial interest rate. So you could actually get it more money in that account built up faster by letting Barrister leverage those funds, which will still always be tracked to you. We manage it internally within our software, and it's like a due to, due from, and it's just as if it's a regular loan payment type process. We have talked, I know Rod and I have talked about ways that we could leverage donations specific to housing. And certainly there are a lot of tax deductible benefits for individuals that are willing to do those kinds of things, but that does place a few restrictions. And I could certainly let Rod address this, but some of the restrictions are, it has to be for educational type purposes, which can then restrict slightly how we can leverage and use those funds specific to housing. If that's the case, we don't care what property it is. We're more than happy to, have the foundation set those accounts or funds up, and then, we would do the request for the educational fund from that for a specific property. So Rod, go ahead.
Well, the benefit in our particular instance with Delta Chi, we've got ECHI accounts, Educational Chapter Housing Initiative accounts. The IRS allows you to set aside up to, I believe it's 10% of the house square footage for educational purposes. So the great news is that you can put an awful lot of money tax deductible into a educational chapter housing initiative account that will go towards square footage that becomes the library, the study areas, the desks in the dorm rooms, in the living spaces. So there's quite a bit of dollars. If you're for instance, just with round numbers, if you were building a $2 million house, there's $200,000 that would be up to 10% of the house that would be educational in nature. That you could put into the account and use every bit of that $200,000 to go toward the cost of the house. So the limits tend to be high based on real estate and what we would be building these days.
And the one thing I'll piggyback with Rod on is that the first thing I'd advise a house corporation board to do is to first reach out to Peter or Rod or Justin with the foundation, and to really talk about the ECHI program. I'm proud of the fact that Delta Chi has the ability to go ahead and raise money for chapter housing, for exclusively educational space within chapter housing. But I'd advise anybody listening today to go ahead and contact Peter or Justin regarding how to go ahead and get those set up. That's the first thing. I absolutely believe that for some, the gateway to giving is through the chapter house, and that if that's where their loyalty's at, then that's where they should be able to give to. And I know that the Delta Chi Educational Foundation has structured as such that if that's the case. The other thing is that the foundation also needs money just for the general support of educational programs as well as scholarships to help offset that fraternity experience. And so, we work together as far as to get that done. I also want to compliment Barrister specifically because even 20 years ago, I know even at like Ball State University, when we lost our chapter house, we didn't have this situation where we were set up to have a national house corporation like Barrister, and we lost too many houses. And so I have to compliment Jeff and his team on the Barrister board for ensuring that we don't have that situation again, where we can retain those houses as best as possible, like at Illinois State, so that when we come back, we can have that physical plan is probably the best investment we can have. So my simple advice is to make sure you're reaching out to people like yourself, Peter, to talk about how to properly structure the program.
Excellent. Thank you guys for having that conversation real quick. I want to talk a little bit about some of the growth initiatives. I mean, Patrick, you jumped on and you talked about recruitment and how things are growing. What can we do for the college students today and in the years ahead to support them the way that they need to be supported, both through, we're talking about scholarships and leadership development programs. You're talking about housing. You're talking about that mental health center is the fraternity house and the fraternity experience. And I guess to kind of put a nice bow on this, how do you see the fraternity experience being relevant and staying relevant in today's society? Can you talk a little bit about that, and then have an opportunity for these two guys to talk about it as well?
Yeah, the first thing I'll talk about is just what we see today. When we were founded, today's Founders Day, 132 years ago, we were founded at Cornell University, and in 1890, 90% of the student body was made up of male students. 90%. Today, less than 40% of the average college campus right now is made up of male students. And so, we have a challenge right now as far as making sure that, one, men can attend college, and when they can, that they can afford it. And that's what the Educational Foundation has set up. The other thing that I want to be very clear with is a lot of people just feel that they have enough money to pay for the experience. Interesting, a study done by Dyad went ahead and saw that out of 80,000 fraternity and sorority students, that right at 73% of those students actually have a job to help pay for their fraternity or sorority experience. 73%. And so what we are trying to do is be able to go ahead and raise money through the Delta Chi Educational Foundation to help offset some of those costs, whether it be through leadership, through scholarships, through leadership or educational programs, so that person can have that good experience. That great experience. The other thing is we see a lot of times, as far as the retention is concerned, is that we can get them to join, but to be able to retain them, it still costs money, and that's where that scholarship comes into play. When you talked about what we see as far as fraternity and sororities, besides a male crisis, as far as percentage of students that are actually male on a college campus today, there is a mental health crisis that are going on. In a study, several studies that have been done over the last 3 years, have been actually 20 research projects been done. And what we know is that people that join, men and women that join a fraternity or sorority, have stronger mental health than the non-Greek student on an average campus. That support system is more critical than ever before as far as fraternities and sororities are concerned. And that's what we're there to do, is provide that support and that benefit. And what we're seeing is that students are coming to fraternities and sororities. We're seeing it as far as an uptick as far as Delta Chi is concerned, as far as recruitment, is that they're looking for that support system more so than ever before to develop their people skills and social skills. And so we're excited as far as being a solution, as far as a valued partner in higher education, as far as fraternities and sororities concerned. And I think it's a good place to go ahead and investment. The last thing I'll go ahead and say is, out of the research project too, what we've seen is that fraternities and sororities actually are a success accelerator. Those people that join a fraternity or sorority compared to a non-Greek student actually have greater success inside the classroom as well as outside the classroom after they graduate, and are more involved on their campus community. And that's why we also see that it's a better connected campus and community even after they graduate. So we see the benefits, we see the research on it, and you're going to be hearing more about that over the coming years, coming months. And we're real excited as far as the value add that fraternities and sororities have as far as today's college student.
It's tough to follow that one up, but Rod and Jeff, how would you guys see in your own experiences and through the conversations that you have with your board members and alumni that you interact with, is the Greek life experience relevant, and how is it making an impact, in the organizations that you lead? Rod, you want to start there?
Sure. I mentioned earlier today, I'm going through the process now of visiting college campuses nationwide with my oldest son. So it's interesting to see campuses and Greek systems from through the eyes of a prospect. I think it's never been more important. I think there's, for the last number of years, there's been a massive disconnect that nobody wanted, no one desired or wished for. And the students are rebounding on a social level. They want that. They want that outreach. They want that sense of belonging in a group. And we're seeing, massive increase in numbers on traditionally Greek campuses. Some massive building that I've seen firsthand going on. So it's a wonderful opportunity and a wonderful time for the Greek system to offer more to prospects to the fraternities. So that's what we're getting geared up to do. And I think that's the importance of donor involvement in funding the programs that we have within the fraternity to be a better project or a better product and a more polished product for our prospects. Jeff?
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot I can add to those what the both of you have said, primarily because I think we're all seeing those same kinds of issues, trends, and so forth along the way. I know as Barrister, we tend to be very, very focused on not a select set, but a set of chapters, especially those that we're working with housing or trying to house. And we do see a significant shift, though, in the membership, their interest levels, or participation level once we do get groups housed. And so, again, that's kind of where we're at. But we're also seeing that there's this trend on the horizon that, from a housing standpoint, we don't want to be in these frat castles. We think that there's going to be challenges to those organizations that have really, really large Greek houses. And we would rather not worry about how to fill those later on and just go with a more moderate property. But again, I think there's a huge uptick we're seeing post-pandemic, especially in undergrads wanting to be part of something more than just themselves. They're sick and tired of online classes and being isolated, and they're really wanting to get back out there and socialize. And, that's really what we're seeing.
Well, and interesting, Jeff, when you talk about that, the one thing, that I'm so proud of Barrister and the fraternity for is that what most people don't even, think about, and specifically now even post-COVID, is that 90% of a student's time happens outside the classroom. And so where does it happen? It happens in our classroom, which are in fraternity and sorority houses.
Yes.
And specifically, we are in, a residential learning community, in my opinion, just like, the Oxford days of old, as far as actually getting there and learning how to work within a group, how to socialize, how to come together. And honestly, I think more so than ever before when they talked about mental health, we're a home away from home for a lot of these young men. And so, that's for some, the only home that they will have had, whether it be over a 1 year or 4 year period, for them to call or know that they'll have a place to come back to even after graduation. And so I believe in my heart that it is critically important for us to go ahead and provide this experience, not just today's college students, but in the future as well.
And I'd just like to also point out, though, here too, Barrister doesn't have a reason to exist without the general fraternity. That's why we're here. And the foundation provides critical assets for education, training, learning environments and situations for the which directly benefits us. When we have trained, skilled leaders living in our properties to help grow our undergraduate membership, it's a win-win-win for all of us.
You guys have been great so far. I've got one more question here, and then give you guys closing comments after that. But want to talk about each one of you for just a moment. Each one of you have had an incredible career in Delta Chi and have stayed involved at some level, whether you've given your time, your talent, or your treasure. Each one of you are major donors to the Educational Foundation. And I want you to relate it to why do you stay involved? Why do you give back? What is it about Delta Chi that's made a significant contribution in the quality of your life? And why do you choose to continue to support it with your time, talent, and treasure? If you could answer that a little bit, and I think some of the people listening might find themselves in some of your responses. And after all, we are raising a lot of money today. That's our major goal on Founders Day of Giving. But each one of you have your own story to tell. And so if you could just share a little bit about why you continue to give back to advance this organization. We're going to go backwards this time. So, Jeff, we're going to start with you, and then Rod, and then Patrick.
All right. So first of all, is I really kind of re-engaged with the fraternity when my oldest son went to college, and I had, when they were younger, was involved with the ABT at my home chapter, Illinois State. And so my son's kind of like wanted to be Delta Chi's. It was kind of that thing because it kind of was beat into him. Not really beat into him, but it's something they grew up around. When he went, the chapter was closed. And my oldest was instrumental in getting a colony started again and ultimately rechartering on that campus. I was heavily involved with him getting going again. And one of our biggest single challenges was housing on a campus, because we wanted to be more than a 30-man chapter. And it was a huge challenge. And that's one of those things that then when I ended up on the Board of Regents as a regent representing Region 5, I really was heavily involved in what we called the housing initiative. And so I did my 6 years as a regent on the Board of Regents, and then transitioned into getting Barrister started and up and going, because I knew exactly how hard it was being out in the field as an alumnus, how much effort it took to start from scratch with nothing, no assets, no money, unable to sign a master lease, all those kinds of things, which, by the way, both of my sons are Delta Chi initiates at Illinois State. So part of it was driven by my own sons. And then part of it was my own experiences. Wow, this is a lot of work. And then faced with, what happens if a chapter closes? We don't want to lose a house again. Really kind of accelerated why I decided to step up and serve, or actually push for getting Barrister formed, and then leading it for the last 6 years. I have been reelected to another term on the board, so we'll see how long that lasts, but could be another 6 years. And we've driven that housing to where we have almost $4.5 million in assets and almost $1.5 million in revenue annually. And that was in a down year, because we had a house at Illinois State sitting empty the entire year, but we still were able to sustain. So that's kind of what's driven me personally, and to be involved, to engage.
And then why do you continue to give to the Educational Foundation?
Oh, I see the value that they really bring to things like the A's Academy, to the other educational program offerings, the scholarships, and so forth that have been provided to undergraduates through the years, that you can see how it directly impacts those individuals that choose to take advantage and participate as a result of those scholarships and opportunities. It's really eye-opening. You got to give forward.
Rod?
I think mine started. It was an opportune time when I joined Delta Chi. I was able to be a founder of a chapter, and it's really I enjoyed the social side, but the leadership development, the learning, the business side of it. I mean, I got to see the full life cycle of starting a franchise, and those skill sets for starting a business were directly relatable. After I graduated, we took a small group of 20, grew it to 120. We went to tops on campus. A lot of us that served on the ABT forever and ever, we had all of perfect programming. A lot of us, grew up and moved away. And when we did, I then got to see what happens to any business when you coast and you get comfortable, rest on your laurels, and things start to slide. You're never sitting still. You're either growing or you're losing ground. And I got to see it all the way, from a distance all the way to the end, and it was extremely disheartening. Wonderful life lesson. My chapter is currently inactive, but now my chapter is international. All of my brothers that I deal with on a weekly basis and talk to on a daily basis are from all different chapters. So the tagline "Brotherhood of a Lifetime" takes on fresh meaning and more deep meaning in that regard. My experience at Delta Chi led directly to a 30-year career in professional search. So I am one of the diehards that say I got everything out of my fraternity, and it's an opportunity to give back. The foundation, the work there, We are very specific and deliberate in what we're doing. All foundations go through a growth period and hitting plateaus, and you can have the best business model in the world. And I believe at Delta Chi that we do. You need funding. So we are working on permanence right now, and we are excitingly close to jumping to that next level that some of our peer organizations have of permanently funding programming and growing into new areas. So it's a very exciting time to be involved, and that's why I stay involved.
Rod, thank you for answering that. Both you and Patrick are new founders in this organization and have given over $100,000 lifetime. Why is it that, in addition to all the volunteer work, you decide to continue to give your hard-earned dollars back to Delta Chi?
Me personally?
Yes, sir.
I think it is two things. Number one, the driver of it's never been more needed. Number two, it's leading by example. If you were a leader in your chapter, if you got a lot out of it, it begins with you. It begins with us. And with all of us pulling together, the old saying, "Many hands make for light work." It's a lot more fun. It's a whole lot of fun to have a lot of people engaged in it, a lot of smiles on people's faces. Everybody wants to see growth, and everybody wants growth for the brotherhood. So this is the way to do it, and it's exciting and fun for me to work on it.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Patrick. We'll end with you, and then as you state your thing here. If any of you guys have any closing thoughts, we'll end with that, and we'll close out.
Yeah. So why I stay involved, or even how I got involved, is upon graduation from Ball State University, I went to work for the International Fraternity, and so I did that for 3.5 years. And then upon leaving the work of the headquarters, I went ahead and went to work for a firm that raises money to help renovate and rebuild fraternity sorority housing, and have helped raise over $1 billion for fraternities and sororities across the United States and Canada. And so, I've been involved in it now for 30 years professionally, similar to Rob. I'll always remember, though, I'll tell you that two things. I remember attending my first convention in 1990, which is the Centennial Convention in Syracuse, New York, as well as Ithaca. And just the experience I had there and the sense of brotherhood and commitment is that I told myself at that time that I'd never miss a Delta Chi convention, and I haven't missed a convention to this day. The second reason why is that when I was moving from Indianapolis to Lawrence, Kansas, to work with Pennington and Company, I had 20 men that showed up with my U-Haul and helped me move into my place. And they were all the Kansas guys at the University of Kansas. The Kansas chapter helped me move in, and they asked me to be their BB at that time. And this is in 1998. And I was been involved with the Kansas chapter for the last 24 years, serving as their BB on their ABT, and just wrapped up as ABT president before taking on this role. And I've had the opportunity to just day in, day out, seeing the great work that the men of the Kansas chapter have done. They're getting ready to celebrate their 100th year in existence in May of this year. And so couldn't be more proud as far as seeing the impact and the quality of men now moving forward. Even people like Travis Goff, who's the new athletic director at the University of Kansas, Mark Dreisler and others that are just good men that are stepping up. And so I felt like, I had an obligation basically to go ahead and give back. Why I give back specifically, as far as not just my time, but also, our resources, is I truly believe that brotherhood is a two-way street. If you accept its advantages, you must live up to its obligation. So brotherhood is a two-way street. If you accept its advantages, you must live up to its obligations. I've accepted all the advantages that the fraternities had to give, and I feel a true obligation to go ahead and give back. And that's why I went ahead and ran as AA. That's why when financially I had the opportunity to give and become a donor to the foundation and become a new founder, I did so. The other reason is quite simple, is that people give to people, and people give to make a difference. And the people that are involved within Delta Chi right now, top down from the headquarters staff to the volunteers, they are quality people that I want to be involved with on a day-to-day basis. And so people give to people. People also give to make the difference. And I believe that we're making the difference in the lives of young men, specifically after COVID. They are wanting that personal connect more so than ever before. And I think they need, and I know, not just think, I know they need fraternity. They need the support system. And that's why we need you to give on Delta Chi's Day of Giving today. So yeah, if you haven't given yet, get on the website, get on the page, the link, make sure you're making your gift today. I know that right now Embry Riddle is leading the charge right now as far as number one, as far as alumni donating. But we need everybody to do their part if we're going to go ahead and be successful and competitive within the industry as far as other fraternities and sororities out there. So let's get out there and give today, and let's make us all proud.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time here today. I do want to let you know we're at $125,000 now, way to our goal. We can accept stock transfers, security transfers. We can accept checks. We can accept digital gifts, credit cards. There are a lot of ways to give. So if there's something that you are inspired to do today, please reach out to us and let us know so we can recognize you. And thank you for giving back to Delta Chi.
Hey, and one last thing is a quick reminder. I mentioned at that very opening, but we have a town hall meeting for all Delta Chi's to go ahead and participate. You just got to register. It's going to be this coming Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. You can go on Delta Chi's website to go ahead and register. And you're going to get an update and hear more specifics, just so you know what the total was as far as the recruitment numbers this fall is concerned. So when you hear that, hey, fraternities are down, not Delta Chi is up. And we're going to tell you how much we're up. And we're not stopping there. So we're going to tell you a little bit about some of the good things that are going on with the fraternity. And you'll have an opportunity also to ask specific questions to us. So please join us at 8 p.m. Eastern time this coming Tuesday.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. I think that's all we've got. Last thing here, I just wanted to shout out the Atlanta Alumni Chapter for hosting the largest Founders Day event in the country today. Over 100 chapter brothers will be gathering tonight, alumni and chapter members from Kennesaw, Georgia Tech, North Georgia, and then many chapters around the metro Atlanta area. So kudos to John Sattler and his team down there in Atlanta. Thank you for making Delta Chi a priority. Signing off. See y'all next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.